Hello and welcome to TrishRockTV, an energy shift, changing energy, shifting perceptions. In today's episode, we talk with someone who is a genuine leader, shows up authentically each day, and is a down-to-earth, beautiful human and soul. Blair Kelly is a holistic coach, nutritional therapist, and former national fitness presenter. She is a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, and NLP coaching, as well as nutritional therapy. And Blair has also various other diplomas in the health, wellbeing, and mindfulness fields. Currently studying a Bachelor of Complementary Medicine major in nutritional medicine, Blair is also a current independent consultant and national vice president for Arbonne International, and has won international awards such as Areas of Consistent Excellence and Top Global Sponsoring. I'm absolutely honoured to call her my friend and have her here today. Welcome, Blair Kelly.
Hi, Trish.
Well, it's so amazing to have you here, and thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So Blair, let's start at the beginning of your journey here. And you were a fitness leader by the age of 21, and you were presenting nationally in this field. But in this role, even though you loved it, you really felt something was missing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I definitely I've always grown up in fitness. You know, my father was a fitness presenter too. You know, he was actually a world champion in competitive aerobics. So I've grown up around fitness all my life, and even as a youngster, I used to train in athletics, and always fit and thinking that I was super healthy. And then I became a fitness instructor when I was 15, so quite young. I wasn't old enough to teach when I was 16, because you can't get insurance until you're 16.
Okay.
So I was always around it, so I always sort of loved the overall idea of health. But around the age 21, I became a fitness presenter, worked my way through that. What I also found was there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of things that gets pushed through by a word of mouth that's not necessarily scientifically correct, or all those kinds of things. And I was well into it, like we were getting sponsored by different supplements and all these kinds of things that I would just take everything, because I'd be like, it'll help with my body. But over time, and during that part of my life as well, I had my first daughter Jasmine when I was 20, so quite young. So I knew when I got pregnant with her that I wanted to do something, that would benefit me us as a single mum, because her father actually committed suicide when I was pregnant. So so during that time I went, okay, I need to do something else. So what I did is I went to uni, because I thought that was the next thing to do, right? And I started off actually doing secondary PE teaching and moved into primary teaching. Okay. And I really, to be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think that that's something that happens to a lot of people. We don't always know what we want to do, or we think we have to do one thing for the rest of our life.
Absolutely. But it sounds like the passion underneath all that has always been the same from when you were younger. But it's finding that modality or that way to express that passion, isn't it? Which is what kind of through the years.
Totally. Yeah. And then obviously, so I worked through that. Then I got quite sick because I was having some really quite challenging things happen in my life. I had a second daughter, and I wasn't in the best space. So I got really quite sick, and really during that time of I'd have to say the lowest of my low, because I was stressed and I had been anxious, I'd say, since I was 20 years old. This is 10, 15 years. Yeah. Well, not 15 years because I'm 35 now, so at least 10 years, but, or more. But, it was that where I really started, my passion, my purpose really started to unfold, because what I learned was all these things that I thought I was doing and being extra healthy weren't necessarily actually the best things for my body. And I also learned that, working. I used to pride myself on being busy, right? That was like a badge that I wore with honor.
The busyness,
and, you know, just,
the busyness habit.
totally. And just getting on with stuff. You know, I was always known for, you know, I'll be right. I mean, after my partner committed suicide, I was back at work within 2 weeks, because I was like, you know what? I've got a daughter to look after soon. She's coming. I've just got to get on with it. And then, you know, the next thing, and lots of, you know, these other sort of hurdles that happened that weren't very nice, that and I used to say it happened to me, but I will now say, now that I know the right things to say, or have learnt a lot, I'll say they happened for me. You know, I was always just get on with it, because I have to look after everybody else, and I've got to get on with it. And, you know, super busy, but really that all unfolded into a big space of illness, almost getting on the verge of autoimmune diseases, you know, pain in my body.
Because on the outside you were just a machine that was moving and moving and moving, and but eventually your body just started to kind of give up, didn't it? It just really started. And you know, the universe gives you those little nudges.
It does.
Hey,
and I
stop. And then eventually it has to really deliver something big for you to kind of take notice if you are in that busyness world. And so you know, you were really in not a very good kind of relationship, and that didn't help either. So what was the first thing that happened with your health that made you kind of stand up and say, yeah, okay, it's time for me? Was that the autoimmune? Is that when that happened?
No, so that happened after, actually. So what actually happened was when I was moved out of that space that wasn't as good for me into a space that was complete polar opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, my finances were good. I had an amazing relationship. You know, I'd been in it for a while. One day I was just sitting on the couch with my now husband, and I started, my heart did this really hard, strong, solid palpitation, and I felt like I was in another planet. I was woozy. I felt sick, like I was going to faint. I laid on the floor. I was shaking, and I had no idea what was going on. And so he rang, not the ambulance, but, you know, the health number, and said, what should I do? And obviously, right? Because
probably felt like a heart attack or something, I guess.
Yeah, I did. I had chest pain. So we were really quite worried. That was the first big nudge. And it turns out it was just a panic attack. I shouldn't say just, it was a panic attack, quite a severe one, but I'd never ever had one before, you know, because I was always very hypervigilant, you know, so I guess my foundation of calm wasn't even there. I'm always, and not necessarily stress, but internal stress, yes, but external busyness, and just get on with it. Do, don't sit down, right? Yeah. So when I had the chance to sit down, my body just went, right. And so I kind of went, okay, I've had a panic attack. And then it didn't kind of come up again for not, you know, maybe 6 months until I was challenged from with something else, you know, which was a financial stress as well as a you know, I had to go to court and things like this for, you know, obviously looking after my children and whatnot, that it really started to come out severely, because I think that first time with the panic attack was just a universal nudge going, I just want to say that to you, your body needs to let go of some stuff. And then I didn't really listen, because I thought, oh, it didn't happen again, I'm all right, you know?
Yeah. And then run off, I'll just get busy again.
Yeah. But then the anxiety went through the roof.
Yeah.
And we, so it got really bad at one point. And because I'm very much, I mean, conventional medicine for me has its place, and definitely if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, I'd want to turn up at the hospital. But from my values perspective, it's the natural medicines and stuff that I know for me, and the research is getting to the root cause is actually the issue. So, but I did get to the point, Trish, where I was so anxious that I couldn't function. I would sit in the corner of my house and cry, and my mum would have to come over and cook for the children if Dave wasn't there. So it got to the point where, you know, I sort of much against my values.
You still weren't listening to your body.
Much against my values. I did go on some anti-anxiety medication for a little while, but for me, I mean, I know it's different for everyone, but for me, it was just a band-aid to get me being able to stand up from off the floor again, so that I could actually then work on the root causes of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and then obviously all during that anxious time, my chest pain was there. And even when I managed to reduce anxiety, I was still getting pain in my body and, gut issues and doing the runs or not being able to digest food properly, or this constant burping, which was actually pushing on my, coming up, through my vagus nerve and pushing on my heart, causing heart palpitations and things like that. So it's a long journey, but I guess my first nudge was that first panic attack, but
and your reproductive system was kind of out of whack as well. So your whole body was just talking.
Definitely, yeah, but even before that anxiety came along, it's funny we don't listen to the signs of our body, because menstruation for me would happen maybe once every 2 weeks, and then maybe once every 3-4 months. That was normal for me because my hormones were so out of balance because my cortisol. Obviously, your body prioritizes cortisol. So if that's always up and your adrenals are always going, then definitely it's going to put all those hormones out of whack. But the last happened to make me notice was the actual anxiety symptoms, the actual the brain symptoms. Prior to that, I was getting bits and pieces that I wasn't listening to. So
being in the totally immersed in fitness and nutritional kind of world that you've been in, like with teaching and all of that, did you have to, was it different for you to work on, obviously you needed to get yourself in a place where you could function and do the inner work. Was that inner work something new to you that you'd just been kind of, a lot of people who are in that state of busyness, go within. It's like, oh, that'll be right. And then it all kind of builds up. So is that what eventually happened with you, and you're like, okay, I've got to just look at other things here. What is actually all this stuff that's creating this dis-ease in my body?
Totally, 100%. Like I was always, interested in complementary medicine. Like I saw a homeopath as a teenager and things like that. But yes, exactly. I was looking for things on the outside and thinking, okay, well, I just got to do more. Obviously in that time in my relationship, I was like, okay, I just need to make more money. I was never looking inward, and actually that, to be honest, that was probably really quite hard for me because I'd never really done that, and I always felt like growing up I was different, not in a bad way. I felt like I kind of a bit of the black sheep, and I obviously love my family. We're all different. We all work in different ways, but my thoughts and my values were really quite different. And I think what I probably learned to do was just disguise all that and then just do what everybody else does.
Absolutely.
And so definitely the inner work was a huge thing for me. And for me to even stop and be able to even try and learn to meditate, because my brain would be thinking, but I've got to get this done, and then I've got to do that for that person, then I've got to do this in the middle of, I have to listen to a guided meditation, and I'd be like, oh, what's she saying? I've got to come back to, that was quite a long journey. But what I learned was, you don't have to go, I always try, I don't do things by halves. I never have. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it at 100%. So it was actually quite hard for me to stop doing that, because really in this situation, I needed to not do things at 100%. If I couldn't do 20 minutes of meditation, it was okay for me to learn to do 2 minutes first. Or breath work. If I couldn't sit there for 40 minutes and just do breath work, it was okay for me to do 5 minutes twice a day first. And I had to really understand and go inner exactly and listen to my body. And, at first when I started to get all these symptoms in my body and pain, because pain's actually the last thing that happens when everything else is going on inside your body, and then the pain comes out. And it's also
or your organs stop working.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's also the first thing to disappear. So what people often do is they go, oh, the pain's gone, I'm fine. And I did that, even when I got anxious, I did that. And then the anxiety started to creep back up. And after I'd thought it was gone, I went, oh, hang on a minute. And so it was kind of like I needed a push, and then a bigger push, and then just a reminder push. And to listen, because now definitely I never would have been like this many years ago. But now when I feel something in my body, I go, okay, what am I feeling right now? What emotion is that attached to? You know, sometimes the digestive system is like, what have I eaten? What should I not? I've learned to really listen to my body and understand my body, because you know what? It knows what it wants when it comes to what food it needs, when it comes to how much sleep it needs, when it comes to what emotion it's holding on to and where. And so certainly, you know, I mean, even with my training in NLP, that's very mind related. And so it's going into the mind, but I had to learn post that to go into the body, not just the mind. And when was getting these things coming up in my body, okay, well, what am I not listening to? And now I definitely stop myself when I have something go on, because I do get it, as we all do, you know, when things go, I go, okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're expanding all the time, aren't we? Otherwise we'd be dead. We're expanding as humans and souls, so there is always things coming up, and just when you think you've cleared it, there it comes again, and you're like, oh, still. But you know, it's a new layer. And I like what you said, and it's a really great mindset to have, is that, you know, life happens for us. It truly does. And, you know, when I was kind of stuck in my 4 or 5 years of financial poverty and, you know, being the victim, why is this happening and why is it taking so long? You know, it's my stubbornness that made it take so long. It didn't have to be that long, but it's the stubbornness of all those old, and I'm a just keep busy, don't worry about it kind of person too. I was then. So, you know, when we have those longer periods of why have I have to suffer this for so long, it's usually because we need to really learn deeper lessons so that we can then help other people in a bigger way. And I'm a strong believer in that. And so with your long journey here, and what's happened for you, you are now able to, you know, not only tune into your body and, you know, be incredibly fit, but also fit on the inside. It's also enabled you now to be this amazing leader, helping other people, because you understand what the busyness is like. You understand what the ignoring is like. You understand what the, you know, not doing the inner work. And, you know, how many people do you and I come across every day who are in that state of, no, if I just keep going, everything will be all right. They don't want to explore within, but eventually the body says, no more. So with all of that experience that you went through, you're really just doing amazing things now. You've been with the Arbonne company for quite a long time now. Started that to earn some extra money, and they had skincare, etc. then. So tell us about the transition from that into now all the beautiful healthcare that they have, and how that has not only helped you and your passion, but the other people.
Yeah, sure. So, I did start the Arbonne journey when I was in that time in my life, that very stressful time in my life, because I obviously needed some things of my own. I needed to bring my own back, because I think sometimes, I love the saying, and this isn't from a sexist mentality, but it's, a man is not a financial plan. You know, you hear sometimes so many people, I'm just going to marry someone rich and he'll work and I'll stay at home with the baby. And that doesn't always happen, you know, and maybe you will do that, but what will happen if you have a curveball like I did? Or what happens if your husband gets very sick and can't work anymore? Or, you know, those kinds of things. So I started off doing that for that reason.
Yeah.
And then actually during that process, I actually did really well and grew right through the company during my most stressful part in my life. And it was just quite funny, because I think I used the stress for part of my life as my driving force.
As your motivator.
It's real, right? So whereas some people will go into a hole and go, oh, I can't, you know, everything's so bad. I was like, I want to fix it. You know, that was kind of my mentality. But yeah, I mean, from the health perspective, when I got really sick with the anxiety and then the internal symptoms and all of that kind of stuff, and I had to go through it and change everything that I knew, you know, because obviously, like I said, in the fitness industry, there's lots of misconception about what's healthy. You know, let's just eat chicken and broccoli and so much protein and we're good, and take all the supplements and whatever, you know, that kind of stuff actually probably didn't help my health either, and my gut health and things like that, as, you know, stripping all the goodness out of my body at the same time. So I went through and studied nutritional therapy, because it's quite different to your standard nutrition and dietetics, which and it talks more about I mean, it's about rebalancing the whole body, and really the foods that are actually good for everything as a whole, you know, making everything rebalance. And you know, we're talking like natural medicines, Chinese herbs, you know, medicinal mushrooms, all these kinds of things. So that's what I wanted to learn. So when Arbonne came out, and like I said, I was already doing really quite well. I was already on my way to national vice president, which is the top level of the company where I am now. When they brought out nutrition into Australia, I thought, oh, this could go really bad, or it could go really good, because I was like, you know, because I'd taken all the supplements before, you know, I had. In the fitness industry.
And I think at one stage all of us have done something with supplements. Like,
oh, definitely. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know, you know, like, anyway, everything that I look, so they have basically a healthy living program. They brought out a healthy living program in alignment with supplementation to just aid and supplement. Like, you know, I mean, we take, I don't know if you do, but lots of people take greens powders, or might take magnesium, or whatever it is. And so I looked at it and I was really amazed, because it actually was in full alignment with everything that I was doing on my own health journey.
Wow. Okay.
Every single principle that they teach in the program is exactly all the principles that I was teaching, that I knew that were working and changing the body from the very cellular level, and, you know, getting every organ and every body system working in synergy. Because, I mean, in the past, people look at things like weight loss programs, and they come to the gym with this fear mentality, not, I'm coming here to make my body feel good, I'm coming here to get skinnier, I'm coming here to, you know, like whatever, you know, that fear mentality rather than the love mentality. And so I was like, it's another weight loss program, because, you know, like, that's the last thing that happens anyway. You know, if you're hanging on to weight, it's because there's something going on inside. It's not because and probably what you're eating. But if you're eating
the inner work, it's the inner work once again, isn't it? It's, you know, why are you holding on to that? Yeah.
Right. Your body holds on to weight to protect you from stress too, right? So so I was like, oh gosh, but when I looked at the program, I was absolutely in alignment. So I was completely amazed, and definitely promote and utilize that across the board now. Obviously, I like to tailor little bits and pieces here and there for people with different things, because from a nutritional therapy perspective as well. But I mean, and now I certainly teach that and use that as my main source as a general program, because it's so easy. It's a lifestyle approach. I mean, the whole idea of it is not to, I mean, if people want to lose weight, that'll happen. And by the way, we got to watch our language on that, because if you say lose weight, it's like losing your car keys. You know, what happens when you lose your car keys? You go looking for it. Your body does the same thing.
Yeah, I know, mindset.
I'll go find that weight again. I've lost it, and I'll go find it. You know, so fat shedding, but it's like, that just happens anyway. That happens anyway when your whole body's healthy. And that definitely happened to me, because I was always fit, you know, like size 6 to 8, super lean, you know, really strong, and didn't matter how healthy I was eating during that stressful period in my life, I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, at my biggest, I was bigger than I was when I was fully pregnant with any of my children.
Wow. How interesting is that? That must have really, like, on a mental level, really been stressing you out as well. It's like, why am I getting bigger? Why can't I?
Right, exactly. Because what we put in our mouth is only one part of it. So when you do that in work, you know, like we were talking about before, and I started to really go inwards rather than and listen to my body signs, and put my, you know, I guess not just work on my mind, or not just work, because at one point I was just working on my body when I was in the fitness industry, and then I was just working on my mind when I went in NLP. Right. And then I was like, hang on, I've got to do, it's all of this. And, you know, it's the holistic mind, body, spirit, emotion, everything together. Yeah. When I did that, and of course it takes time. It happened overnight, because I didn't get like that overnight. It was this problem that had built up over many, many years. But, you know, within, you know, 6 months, a year, everything just changed. And the only one thing that I really worked on was my inner work. I still followed the healthy living principles, but all of a sudden I dropped 15 kilos without an issue, because my body knew that I didn't need it anymore. I didn't need to protect it.
And, you know, it's surprising, and I'm sure you have a lot of your clients say this, that, you know, they've struggled for so long and gone on the odd diet, blah, blah, blah. But when they're not even focused on that, when they're just focused on what pain have they been holding from an old relationship, from their upbringing, from, you know, a parent who said something that devastated them, from a teacher that said something, all of those things we hang on to, all those emotional scars and pain, if they just work on that, it's surprising how fast the body works.
Yeah.
to get everything in order, because our body is the most amazing machine. If we're giving it the right stuff, it will sort itself out. And the right stuff is usually those emotional and internal responses that that we're giving it. So it's just so important to do that. And I love this journey that you've been on, because nothing's ever random. In this world, everything is always the next piece in the puzzle, and there's nothing ever random. And you know, for you, you said you started you know, being a fitness instructor at 15. This is absolutely your, you know, your life journey. And getting into the Arbonne company at that stage was very was for the lifestyle as well, because you have freedom in that to work when you want to work around your children. Yes. So, you know, there was a lot of advantages to it, but it's now brought you to here, and you're just bringing it all together, which I absolutely love. All of your training and your holistic training and your health training and fitness, and you're a shining example as well of what can be turned around, because some people with all of those issues you've had and the autoimmune don't recover. They don't turn that around. And you're an absolute example that it's possible. So kudos to you. And I love that you're training, and I say motivating, but I think you're inspiring people, you know, when you do your trainings and when you're with your team and when you're in front of big groups of people, you're inspiring people to take charge of their own life as well. And that must really give you, you know, such heartwarming feelings to know that you've got that effect on people.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what, Trish? When I first started, let's use Arbonne as an example. I was scared. I was thinking, what are people going to think of me? Is it a pyramid scheme? Even though I knew that those kind of pyramid schemes don't even exist anymore. But I was like, what are people going to think of me? And I made it about me, right? Yeah. I was making it truly about me. And then, you know, after when I was driven though, with all those things that happened, and I became really successful, and I got out of that stuff, and I turned around and looked at my life and went, okay, I've taken myself from a place where it was completely not serving me, yeah, to a place where it's a complete polar opposite, you know, to a spot where my children used to ask me, can we go down to the beach, which is from Canberra, you know, an hour and 45 away, not very far. Yeah. But I still have to say no, because I couldn't afford the petrol money, to a place where, you know, I take them to Disneyland, and that, by the way, that was one of my patterns. I would be really successful and have money and not love, and then I'd have love and not money. Like that was, okay. I'd learned not to have them both at the same time until, yay! But you know, so my stresses were not finances. You know, when my finances were going really well, my stress was something else, right? Yeah. But when I look at it now, yeah, I look at it from a place like, how much has it done for my life? How much has it done for all these other people that I know? Yeah. So I look at it from, if I didn't share it with people, when I hear them say things like, yeah, you know, it could be anything from health related to wanting to get out of, you know, a job that they don't like, to perhaps even being homeless, because that's happened as well. Yeah. I find it, if I don't say something and share it, then I'm being selfish. So I actually look at it the opposite now, and I really, with, you know, take it from my heart. I feel like our purpose here on this earth is to serve others, and whatever way that is where you gain fulfillment, because there's a huge difference between success and achievement and fulfillment. They're two different things. You know, you can achieve a lot but not be fulfilled, and fulfillment, I feel like, comes from that human connection and really being able to light others up, because, you know, when we do that, we feel good inside ourselves, right? So that's how I look at it.
So once again, that's the difference of thinking and feeling. Thinking is achievement, yes, feeling is the fulfillment. So once again, right, it's going inside to really feel that fulfillment, and rather than just going, oh yeah, I've achieved this. I mean, obviously you're achieving as well, but that comes as a byproduct of the fulfillment.
Absolutely. And, you know, because I mean, I know we've spoken about money, and you said you had financial problems as well. Money is just a byproduct of how many people you help. Yes. That's all it is. It's absolutely. Like fat loss is a byproduct of how, you know, is secondary to your organs and everything working in synergy. You know, it's just like, it's totally what it is. They're all just byproducts to these other things.
And then that actually starts from a sense of your own value. Valuing is knowing your value so that you can offer other people value. And, that was the inner journey I went on of, discovering my value and not actually seeing my value as how much money I was getting, because then when money wasn't coming, I didn't feel valuable. You have to find your own value first, and then offer other people value, and then it comes back as fulfillment and finances.
Yeah.
So once again, it's the inner work.
That's right. It's reversing what we're taught. We're taught to, if I could only have more money, then I could do more fun things and then I'd be happy or whatever. But it's not. It's the inner work first. Be happy first, because then when you're actually able to do and give your true authentic self and serve others, and then you'll have more money, more love, more freedom, whatever it is that you wanted to have. That just comes after. It's got to be first, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Each individual here on this planet, we're all here experiencing, different challenges. And I know that a lot of people have issues with their body and not listening to it. I won't say health, but it's their well-being, and they're not listening to that inner voice. And, I feel that you're just serving in such a powerful way, and it's amazing. Is there any last piece of advice you'd like to give to everyone listening today?
Maybe just one. You know what? Let's just read everything we've spoken about. Really start listening to your body first. We often listen to the external, is what society teaches us to do, but really come back and listen to your heart first. Your heart answers, your brain, your conscious mind answers second. If you ask yourself a question, and sometimes a weird one answer word comes up and you think, where did that word come from? Well, guess what? It came from your unconscious, and even deeper from your heart. With the big lengthy answers, that's coming from your conscious mind, and that's the one that we listen to often the most. So I guess my last tip is, when you go inside, stop yourself and go, okay, what am I not listening to? Or what do I need to know right now? And, those short answers, or the weird ones that come up first that you think, oh, where did that come from? They're the ones that are trying to give you the message, because they're the ones that are coming from the deeper places. So I guess that's my last tip for today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, if people want to get in contact with you and get some help or advice with their health or their life, or want to talk to you about your beautiful Arbonne products and services, where can they, all the links are here as well, but where can they connect with you? What's the best place?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just through, when you're popping the links there with the website, just connect through the website. Have a look, because it'll be different for different people. Obviously, I do holistic coaching that maybe people don't want to get into something like Arbonne and look at it although I'm, of course, going to teach you about non-toxic products, but, maybe from the business side, maybe people, that's not for them, but they just need help with something health-related, or, bringing the whole mind, body, spirit thing together. That's all on the website. So really, whether you want help with health, whether you want help with holistic overall healing, and I obviously am trained in what I'm trained in, and if I think you need to be referred to other things, I'll definitely do that. Or if you want help with just some great non-toxic products too, I can obviously do that too, but it's all in the one place. I do have a separate Arbonne website, but you can, at my personal website, you'll be able to find what you need and have a look around and see what might be for you or not.
Place. And people might like to connect with you on Facebook too, and I'll have all the links here for you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. It's been so interesting, and I really appreciate you coming on to the show, and I'm sure everyone who's listening today and on all the replays will also benefit. So thank you so much, Blair.
Well, thanks for having me, Trish.
My pleasure. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you for our next episode on TrishRockTV. Bye for now.